Silence. Not the peaceful kind. The kind that comes after the music stops, after the laughter dies, after a city takes its final breath and never exhales. This is Pripyat, April 2025. 39 years after the night the world held its breath, the Ferris wheel sits frozen against the gray sky. Rusted. Yellow paint, peeling in long strips. It never carried a single passenger. Not once. Not ever. The bumper cars are sculptures now, overgrown with moss. Small birch trees growing through their rusted floors. Walk into the school? Textbooks scattered across the floor. Lessons left unfinished. A child's drawing still pinned to the wall. A house, a son, a family. In the kindergarten, dolls lie where they were dropped, eyes open, staring at nothing. The swimming pool, once filled with the laughter of children, is a forest. Actual trees, 20 feet tall, roots cracking through the tiles. Walk these streets. The silence is physical. You can feel it pressing against your chest. But if you listen closely, if you stand very still in the central square where children once played, you can hear it. Click, click, click. The invisible enemy. A Geiger counter, measuring death in the air. Each click is a particle of radiation passing through your body right now as you stand here. Slow clicks mean low radiation, survivable for a while. But there are places in this city where the counter doesn't click. It screams. Pripyat died twice, once in fire, in a single night when engineers pressed a button they couldn't unpress, once in silence, when the last resident was evacuated and the gates were locked forever. 50,000 people lived here. None remain. Tonight, we return to the night the atom betrayed us. Rewind 39 years. April 25th, 1986, a Friday. The weather is beautiful. Spring in Ukraine, 17 degrees, light wind, clear skies, perfect. Pripyat is not a ghost town. It is the opposite. It is alive. Population, 49,360. Average age, 26. The youngest city in the Soviet Union. So young, there is no cemetery. No one has died here yet. This is the Atomic City, built in 1970 to house the workers of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant and their families, and it is a paradise. Reactor workers live in spacious apartments, central heating, hot water, balconies overlooking green parks. These are not cramped Soviet blocks. These are modern, comfortable, prestigious. On April 25th, the central square is full of life. Children chase each other near the fountain. Mothers push strollers. Teenagers smoke on benches, laughing about nothing. Red and white banners are being hung from balconies. The May Day parade is in 6 days, the biggest celebration of the year. No one knows the park will never open, that those bumper cars will never move, that the Ferris wheel will become the most haunting symbol of a future that will never arrive. At 11 p.m., the night shift clocks in. Among them, Leonid Toptunov, 26 years old, senior reactor control engineer, Alexander Akimov, 33, shift supervisor. They descend into the plant, corridors painted industrial green, fluorescent lights buzzing, the hum of machinery. Tonight, they will run a safety test on Reactor 4. Routine, a simulation, testing whether the turbines can generate enough emergency power if the reactor shuts down. It has been done before. It is safe, or so they believe. Deputy Chief Engineer Anatoly Dyatlov is in command. He is 55 years old, a veteran, a man who has worked with reactors his entire career, a man who does not tolerate delays, and tonight, he is impatient. The test was supposed to happen yesterday. It was postponed. Now he wants it done, completed, signed off, tonight. But the reactor is not cooperating. Power levels are dropping, too low, far below the safe minimum for the test. Leonid Toptunov stares at the reading. His hands hover over the controls. The reactor is poisoned. Xenon-135, a neutron absorber, has built up in the core. To compensate, the control rods have been pulled out. Almost all of them. The reactor is like a car with the gas pedal floored and the brakes barely holding. Toptunov turns to Dyatlov. The reactor is unstable. We should abort. Dyatlov's face hardens. We are not aborting. Continue the test. Toptunov looks to Akimov, his supervisor, the man responsible. Akimov looks at the dials. He knows Toptunov is right, but he also knows the system. You do not question Dyatlov. Akimov nods. We continue. At 1 a.m., the test begins. The turbine is disconnected. Steam flow drops. The cooling water slows. The reactor temperature rises. Alarms begin to sound, soft at first, then louder. Toptunov's hands fly across the controls, adjusting, compensating, trying to calm the beast, but every adjustment makes it worse. At 1:22 a.m., the power starts to rise, not gradually, not slowly, exponentially. The dials spin. The needles slam into red zones. The control room fills with the wail of klaxons. Akimov sees it first. His voice cuts through the noise. Emergency. Shutdown. Now. Toptunov doesn't hesitate. His hand slams down on the AZ5 button, the big red button, the emergency shutdown, the failsafe, the last defense. Across the reactor hall, 211 control rods begin to descend. These rods are designed to stop the reaction, to absorb neutrons, to kill the chain reaction in seconds. But there is a flaw, a design flaw no one in that room knows about. The tips of the rods are made of graphite, and for the first few seconds, before the boron absorbers reach the core, the graphite accelerates the reaction. In a stable reactor, this doesn't matter. In a reactor already on the edge of catastrophe, it is a death sentence. Toptunov watches the power meter. It should be dropping. It isn't. It's rising. The needle keeps climbing. The reactor is designed for 3,200 megawatts. It reaches 33,000. For 2 seconds, nothing happens. Then the fuel rods shatter. The water flashes to steam. The pressure becomes apocalyptic. At 1:23:45 a.m., Reactor 4 does not shut down. It explodes. The explosion is not like a bomb. There is no mushroom cloud, no Hollywood fireball. It is a steam explosion, followed by a hydrogen blast. But the result is the same. 1,200 tons of reactor lead, a massive disk of steel and concrete, is blown off. It flips vertical, lands leaning against the reactor shaft like a broken tombstone. The roof of the reactor hall disintegrates. Concrete, steel beams, radioactive graphite blocks, pieces of the reactor core itself are thrown hundreds of meters into the air. They rain down on the plant, on the turbine hall, on the forest, on the river. And now the core is open, exposed to the night sky. Graphite burns at 2,000 degrees Celsius. In contact with air, it ignites, flames 50 meters high, but not normal flames. They glow, blue, violet, green, the eerie, unnatural colors of ionized radiation, the light of atoms being torn apart. From Pripyat, 4 kilometers away, people see it. A beam of light, a pillar of blue fire. Beautiful. They step onto their balconies. They walk into the streets. Some head toward the railway bridge. It offers the best view. By 2 a.m., dozens of people are gathered there. Couples holding hands. Parents with children on their shoulders. Teenagers smoking, mesmerized. They watch the rainbow flames dance. The air shimmers, like the northern lights. Some feel a strange taste in their mouths. Metallic, like licking a battery. Some feel warmth on their faces. Not from the fire. It's too far away from something else. They do not know they are standing in a radioactive cloud. They do not know the wind is blowing particles of plutonium, cesium, iodine directly toward them. They do not know every breath is filling their lungs with death. Later, this place will be called the Bridge of Death. Most who stood there for more than an hour were dead within 2 weeks. But in that moment, all they saw was beauty. At 5 a.m., the first firefighters arrive. Lieutenant Vladimir Pravik, 23 years old, Fire Brigade No. 2 from Pripyat. His orders: roof fire at the power plant. Standard response. He is not told about the radiation. He is not given protective gear beyond his canvas jacket and helmet. He and his crew climb to the roof of the turbine hall. The roof is covered in debris, chunks of concrete, twisted metal, and strange black blocks. Smooth, heavy, warm. One firefighter picks one up. It's glowing, he says, and it feels warm. It is graphite. Reactor core, graphite. It is emitting 20,000 roentgens per hour. A lethal dose is 500. He is holding 40 lethal doses in his bare hands. He is already dead. He just doesn't know it yet. For 6 hours, Pravik and his men fight the flames. They prevent the fire from spreading to Reactor 3, still operational. If Reactor 3 explodes, the disaster goes from local to continental. They save Europe. but they condemn themselves. By dawn, they are vomiting. Their skin is turning dark red. Their gums bleed. Pravik is airlifted to Moscow. Hospital number 6, the radiation ward. He dies on May 11th, 15 days after touching the core. His body is so radioactive, it is buried in a lead-lined coffin, sealed in concrete. He was 23 years old. Over the following weeks, the Soviet Union mobilizes 600,000 men, soldiers, miners, engineers, pilots, prisoners offered freedom in exchange for service. They are called liquidators. Their mission? Stop the radiation, seal the reactor, prevent meltdown. Helicopters fly over the exposed core. Pilots drop bags of sand, lead, boron, clay. The radiation is so intense, it destroys their instruments mid-flight. Needles spin. Radios fail. Some pilots develop radiation sickness while still in the cockpit. They fly anyway. But the worst job belongs to the men on the roof. Robots are sent first. Machines from Germany, Japan, designed for disasters. They last 3 minutes. The radiation fries their circuits. They freeze. They become obstacles. So a decision is made. Send men. They are called biorobots. Each is given a lead vest, a shovel, a stopwatch, and 90 seconds. 90 seconds to run onto the roof. 90 seconds to grab radioactive graphite, reactor fuel, and throw it into the open core. 90 seconds before the radiation dose becomes unsurvivable. Then the next man runs. Over 3,000 men do this. The sound on that roof is not wind, not fire. It is Geiger counters, hundreds of them, screaming, a mechanical shriek that never stops. One liquidator, years later, described it. When you looked at the graphite, your eyes burned. If you stood still too long, you tasted metal. The pieces felt alive, hot, angry. We didn't think. We ran, we grabbed, we threw, we ran back. That's all we could do. Many are dead now. Cancer, leukemia, heart failure. But they succeeded. By November 1986, the reactor is sealed. A concrete shell, the sarcophagus, is built over Reactor 4. Hastily, desperately, it is already cracking. In 2016, a new structure is completed. The new safe confinement. A massive steel arch. The largest movable structure ever built. It is designed to last 100 years. The fuel inside will remain deadly for 20,000 years. Today, the Chernobyl exclusion zone covers 2,600 square kilometers. Pripyat remains empty, silent, overgrown. Wolves walk the streets. Wild horses graze in the square. Trees grow through apartment windows. The amusement park never opened. The Ferris wheel never turned. The bumper cars never moved. The radiation is still there, in the soil, in the water, in the walls. Click, click, click. The invisible enemy does not sleep. Chernobyl was not just an accident. It was a warning that nature does not negotiate, that atoms do not forgive, that some technologies carry consequences we cannot escape. On April 26, 1986, humanity learned that invisible does not mean harmless, that pressing a button can kill a city. That heroism sometimes means running toward death with your eyes open. The official death toll is 31. The true number will never be known. Thyroid cancer, leukemia, birth defects, genetic mutations that echo across generations. The atom is still counting. Pripyat died twice. Once in fire, when the reactor exploded and the sky turned blue. Once in silence, when the last human left and locked the gate. But the warning remains, written in rust, in concrete, in the bones of a city frozen in time. The Ferris wheel that never spun. The schools where lessons were never finished. The bridge where people watched beauty and breathed death. In the end, the invisible enemy won. And it's still there, waiting, counting. Click, click, click. If you want to see more stories of power, hubris, and the moments when empires fell and cities turned to ash, subscribe to our channel. Because history never dies. It only waits to be remembered.